Welcome back to Behind the Vocals. This week we are joined by the one and only Michael Felker of Convictions. Michael has been doing vocals for over 20 years, so he has tons of insight and knowledge about all things vocals and a super fascinating approach on how he tackles lyrics. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed chatting with Michael. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. All right, we are back and joined by the one and only Mr. Michael of Convictions. Sir, how are you doing? Thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure having you.
Good, man. I'm doing well. Just trying to simmer down before we jumped on here. I was fighting with Google. Yeah, I'm all over the place right now, but I'm good.
Technology, man. It's always trying to ruin everything for us. It's good and it's bad at the same time.
Yeah.
But how's everything been going? I know you just got back home from tour, so I really appreciate you taking the time being here and hanging out with us and chatting all things vocals.
Yeah, of course. It's going well. It's kind of the calm before the storm here because we're getting ready to do a festival here in about a week, and then we'll be gearing up for about a month-long tour with Demon Hunter. So
nice.
Busy schedule. Just trying to take some time for some R&R.
Nice. That's an awesome tour. That's a big tour.
Yeah, really excited for that.
That's really sick. Okay, how I like to start is I kind of like just to give you the floor, and for those that may not know you or be as familiar, just kind of let you tell a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, and all that good stuff.
Sure. Well, I'm Michael. I sing for the band Convictions. We label ourselves as aggressive worship. Christian metalcore band. We've been around for like 10 years. Just put out a record last August, called The Fear of God, and we've been supporting that for the last year here.
Nice. Very nice. And, okay, so how long have you been doing vocals?
I want to say a little over 20 years now.
Wow. Okay. Nice. Lots of experience. So wealth of knowledge we have in you, so I'm ready. What got you inspired to become a vocalist or got you into vocals?
A few different things. I remember like junior high, just like really getting into like alternative music, metal. I remember there was like a radio station I'd put on. It was like a hard rock radio station that I'd fall asleep to every night. And I would just let myself fall asleep dreaming that I was performing these songs in front of my school. So I felt like kind of like a little bit of an outsider growing up. My dad was a big influence because he really like nurtured me being interested in like alternative culture, like BMX and hard music. So it was already kind of a part of me, and kind of feeling like an outsider. I wanted to be a musician. And then it wasn't until my brother and I, we were kids just goofing around doing like freestyle rapping, and I threw my voice, and I didn't know I could do this, so I was able to like project really loud and create what was like an early blueprint of my screams. So because he was a drummer, him and I started our high school band together, and here I am 20 years later.
Nice. I have to know, who are some of the hard rock gateway bands, if you will, that kind of like bridged you to the metal genre and pushed you that way?
Well, I mean, I was pretty much like set on Slipknot when I was like pretty young. My brother here, he that was his favorite band, so I kind of piggybacked that. So Corey Taylor is definitely a big influence when I was really young. So I'd probably stick with that.
Okay. I mean, they've influenced, I don't know how many musicians. I don't know how many times Slipknot has been mentioned on this podcast. It's huge, their influence. I mean, they've been doing it 25 years now.
Shoot. I don't know. Maybe even.
They just had an anniversary tour not long ago, and I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I would say they're getting close to 30 because they've been around, I want to say, since like the 90s.
Late 90s, right?
Yeah. Mid to late 90s.
It's crazy. So, did you play other instruments first, or did straight to vocals?
Nope. I kind of tinkered with the idea of playing bass just because at the time, like, it seemed easy and I like low end. So, nope, never picked it up though. Just screaming.
The screaming. Okay. So, how did you learn? Because if you started 20 years ago, there definitely was not the wealth of knowledge that there is now. I mean, there might be a random YouTube video, maybe, but other than Melissa Cross, like Zenna screaming and all, there really was no like guidelines or how to do it. It was just trial error, try not to hurt yourself, essentially.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, that's basically what I would have said. It was, mostly just self-taught, trial and error, asking peers questions. But Yeah, I remember back then in high school there was some friends passing around like a burnt DVD of the Zen of Screaming, and I got my hands on it, and I remember skimming through it, and I just didn't really understand what she was talking about.
Yeah.
I started off as a false chord screamer. I still predominantly use that, and I want to say back then I remember getting like information on fry screaming, and I just didn't understand what that was. It didn't make sense to me. And a lot of it was really academic, like the way that they
Yeah.
talk about it. So it was just like it didn't really communicate well with me. But now, like 20 years later, I'm watching this stuff and I'm like, this all clicks and it makes sense. So
Yeah.
yeah, mostly self-taught.
Okay. I remember the first time I got it out, just trying everything I could to figure out. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I do that? Okay, that hurts. This is probably a bad idea. Can't do
Hmm.
that. And then the first time I watched it, I was just like, this is kind of goofy. None of this is really like registering. And I remember it was just me with the mic, and I was like, I'll try. I think the first thing I really tried that like kind of clicked was the pencil, like projecting over the pencil.
Over and under. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did that, and I was like, oh, I feel okay. I got like that makes sense now. And then like
Yeah.
everything started kind of clicking a little bit. But was there a moment where everything kind of clicked for you, like an aha moment, if you will?
Um, it's tough to call because like I was screaming just out of pure testosterone and anger for decades, really. It wasn't until I went and sang for August Burns Red where I had to really like take a look at the technique and like what's sustainable. Um, and that was my first time using fry screaming. So I've only been fry screaming for about 5 years now. Like
Okay.
it's still pretty new to me. And that I felt like that's when like the lights started turning on, where I needed to focus on preserving my voice, what it's capable of, using my true voice, um, and yeah, and just really like putting all the pieces together as far as protecting it and using proper technique. Everything pretty much before 2020 was just like raw energy.
So what were some early mistakes you made whenever you were learning to do vocals?
Well, I mean, even with the false chords, like I would blow out my voice every show, like, and somehow within that 24-hour window, it would heal just enough to get me through the next show. I have not to like toot my own horn, but I have a really good grasp on tone. So as long as I could get my tone where I wanted it to be, I could get by just fine during a set. But yeah, afterwards I'd be, "How are you doing? What's going on? Would you want to buy a shirt?" It'd be like pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it was pretty rough, man.
So what you're saying is you're kind of like Wolverine. You heal really quickly.
Yes and no. Like for touring at that time, pre 2020, yeah, like I was able to heal and bounce back pretty quick. And even like right now, I'm pretty congested. If I had like a cold or anything, because I was using my false chords, screaming from my neck, basically, it wouldn't really show up in the performance. So I was pretty resilient in that aspect. But man, there's been times, even recently, like where I'm in the studio and I'm not giving myself like that gauge, like, hey, you're pushing too hard. Usually in the studio, it's all bets are off the table. Like
Yeah.
just full send it, make it sound as good as it can. And I'd be out for a day, all the way to like 3 4 days, and it was pretty bad. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into this.
Yeah. Don't you love that there's so many variables? Like you can't just like change string stuff. You can wake up, like you said, congested. You can wake up, no voice. There's tons of things
Yeah,
that can happen, and you're like, well, I have to work around this now.
yeah, I don't love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
It's stressful.
No, it's pretty frustrating. Yeah, I sometimes I look at my bandmates and I'm like, man, it must be nice just to pick up the drumsticks and go for it. I mean, you'd have to like break your arm or do some major injury to prevent you from doing that.
All right. So you kind of already talked about congestion stuff like that. Is there a routine you do before like each set and stuff like that? Also, does it change depending on variables? Like you mentioned you're doing a fest soon. Will you do a certain routine for that festival? When you're on tour, is there a different routine? If you're sick, do you change it to accommodate that? Or even if you're going to the studio, is it a different routine for that? Like, You change it
Yeah.
up, or is it pretty much the same, or what do you do?
No, this is cool. I never get asked these questions. My bandmates are not interested in this stuff. um, yeah, I put a lot into it. So like with festivals, for me, I think it's like we just got done doing Incarceration Fest, and I was fighting a pretty brutal cold. Um, so what I was doing before that, it was pretty crazy. I was like on major vocal rest. I was doing Ricolas, and I have a humidifier that I use when I sleep, and I also have one that you wear like a mask. I was doing like daily warm ups just to check, my maintenance. Where am I at? What can I work with? Um, yeah, it was pretty crazy. I was doing a lot for that, and it paid off. Like I'm glad I did. On tour, it's a lot different. I try to keep loud conversations to like a
Yeah.
a talking volume, um and it's it can be super frustrating because you don't realize like how many comments or like things you want to say throughout the day until like you're put in a position where you're like, I only need to talk when it's necessary. Like that's like how I kind of live on the road, and it can get really frustrating, but it's so beneficial if you like minimize your speaking.
Yeah.
um, but it's weird on tour because we're performing every day. There's something that like happens with the voice, and it's pretty much always been like this for me, where you get into a rhythm,
Hmm.
and even though you can be like extremely hard on your voice, your body is super resilient, and it will adapt to that. Just like working out in the gym or something like that. Like if you're working out the same muscles, eventually it'll kind of build up. Super true there. It's weird though when we have off days. I don't like off days. There's something really strange that happens with my voice where it's like it almost wants to heal itself. Think like a scab. Like if you cut your arm and there's a
Yep.
scab, it's like pulling that scab off too early, and it just makes the injury worse. So when we have like 1 to 3 days off, it's nice for my body, but my voice, when I go back into performing, it's like I have to rip that scab off and then, uh, you know, perform on a. I, I wouldn't say it's like not workable or anything like that, or not like what I'm proud of, but it's different, and I have to be like mindful of that.
Yeah. And then whenever you're on tour and you're doing like a lengthy tour, do you kind of scale back the routine? Because I know a lot of
Oh
like
yeah.
touring musicians and vocalists and all, the first week is usually kind of like the break in period, if you will. Like it kind of getting
Hmm.
your voice, I guess, conditioned or in shape, depending on what you do. And then after that, it's kind of in the swing of things for the most part. Kind of like you said, like if there's no day off to like kind of mess up the flow of it, it kind of just it's ready to roll.
Yeah. Usually for me, it's like about 3 shows in. So come like the third or fourth show, I'm probably like hitting my stride.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I don't really like. I don't want to be like super overly paranoid either. I think there's like some weird connection with like stress, like mental stress, where you're like, oh my gosh, something bad's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That'll affect your voice. So I
It may
try to
tense
just keep
something up
things.
or something like cause your muscles to like I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like a placebo effect,
Yeah.
maybe. But um, I always try to like psychologically. I always just try to stay as neutral as possible and comfortable. There's always like that build up where you're like, oh, I'm going to the studio in a couple days. Oh, my voice, and like, I don't know what it is, but my body's like, oh, you're getting scared. Well, I'll give you a reason to be scared, and I'm like, no. So I don't know. It's a big head game.
Do you do anything special when you're going to the studio just to kind of get it ready?
Yeah. I'll put a little extra TLC in. Like I said, like with the vocal rest, that's probably the biggest thing.
Mhm.
I avoid like whispering. I know that can really affect me. Like if I'm talking like this, it's
Yeah.
like I'm like rubbing my vocal cords together like sandpaper. So try to speak normally. Um, but yeah, a lot of the vapor mask, tea, honey, all the cliches.
Yeah.
Professional like warm ups, not like backstage like all right, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll be like
Like the
that, and I'm
scales and
like,
stuff. Just kind of like,
yeah,
yeah,
I'll do
working them.
the full thing. And I have like a really interesting strategy too, because I'm screaming both fry and false, and I have just about every range within each skill. I'll go through and I'll print off my lyrics and I'll highlight different sections that are more vocally demanding.
Mhm.
Like, let's say, like a really long scream or a tunnel scream or something maybe more boutique. I'll highlight that and then I'll do that first. And then I'll put the easier stuff on the tail end of my session. So that way I know I'm in, I'm good.
It's awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so tea, honey, all that. Is there anything else you do for vocal care, the mask, or is that pretty much cover it?
Yeah, and that's usually like before like a really big event or in the studio.
What about when you're just
It's
home, kind of like downtime? Do you do anything to kind of like help heal or?
not so much. Like I think for me, I have to just be mindful, like staying hydrated. I love cigars, so I gotta like kind of be strategic with that. Although on our last record, I smoked a cigar after every session, and it was completely fine. So as long as I have like like my humidifier going, I'm pretty comfortable, and I'm using my voice. Like your vocal cords are designed to be used, so like use them. Um, I do lessons. I teach people how to scream, so I'm usually doing that every day. So I have like 2 hours of screaming in like every day. So it's
Okay,
almost like I'm still on tour.
nice. Keep it running well. Then you keep everything going.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
where
Keep everything
can
working.
where can people find you if they want to do vocal lessons?
Usually it's through Instagram.
Instagram. Okay.
Yeah, when my schedule opens up, I'll just post like a story. And then my current roster of students, we keep up with each other. So Instagram would be the way to go. It's
Okay.
just at Mike Convictions.
Nice. All right. Let's see. So we're gonna shift gears a little bit.
Cool.
Well, actually, before we shift gears, I want to go back to the mask. I got put on that. I'm trying to think what it's called, like the vaporizer,
Hmm.
like kind of thing. I can't think of the name of it now, but yeah. And I was like, I wonder if that actually works. You know, it makes sense in theory, like scientifically, you're just moistening your vocal cords. You know, it's a quicker way to get moisture in your body
Hmm.
and going, instead of going through the bloodstream and all. And I tried it, and I swear by now, it's awesome. Like especially
Yeah,
before doing vocals or after to kind of help soothe. Like it
yeah,
really does help a lot.
yeah. No, I wouldn't say it's like an absolute game changer for me, but for like newer vocalists and stuff, like you don't have to go out and buy like the $100
Yeah,
Vicks vaporizer. You can get like a large coffee mug, and then just make sure you fill it up enough to where it's not touching your nose, but like at least an inch of water. Microwave it, and then just sit over it, and let that work through your sinus, and you'll notice like everything will open up, and it'll be more. You'll have more to work with there. Now that I'm screaming a lot with Fry, I have to really like lean into my sinus for certain tones and pitches. So I need this to be like open and working for me.
yeah. And I've heard people say like, I take a hot shower before the studio. I was like, well, that's essentially the same thing. Like just
Yeah,
getting the steam in there, like same
love that.
same thing. Yeah, it definitely
Yeah, that's
works.
great.
All right, we're gonna shift gears a little bit. And we're gonna go to lyrics. Fun stuff. It's always a fun topic. Where do you pull from? Are you more of a personal, like lyricist? Do you write from personal experience, or do you go conceptual, or are you kind of a hybrid? Do you kind of mix the two together? Like, what is your go-to on that?
Yeah, I would say a hybrid.
Okay.
I try to push myself. As a writer, you want to, or an artist, which sounds so pretentious. You want to, an artist. You want to push yourself. You want to expand and hone in on your craft, just like vocals. I feel like for me, I found a niche with writing more in like a journalism aspect.
Okay.
I was writing from personal experiences like in the early years quite a bit, and I still do, but I felt like I hit a roadblock, so I pushed myself to basically go off and do interviews with people that had really captivating stories or experiences, and I found that I really love journalism. Like I love asking questions and learning and having a deeper empathy for people um, through their experience and through their first person view. So that really pushed the needle for me. We ended up putting out a song called "The Price of Grace," where I did that, and that ended up being, it still is our most like high demand popular song. So I felt like that kind of solidified a strong niche for us. And the last record, it was like almost all interview based, kind of like what we're doing here.
That's really cool. I like
Hmm.
that. That is really really
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, and it's super rewarding. Like it feels like really empowering, like to be a part of someone's story,
Yeah.
and share it. So I that's probably like my favorite way of writing right now.
I love hearing how different people approach lyrics and like the mindset that goes into like how I'm gonna tell this story or write this song. It's always fascinating to me, and I think it's a really cool like subject to talk about.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like this is like, it's funny because I hate writing lyrics because it's so stressful.
Are you
It's
are you
like
the
writing
only
a
one in the
paper.
band that writes lyrics, or?
I'm not. Our drummer Zach, he's contributed quite a bit. One of our more popular songs on our last record, "Hurts Like Hell," he had a big hand in that.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's really exciting because I like to look at songwriting like a movie where you have like acts,
Mm-hmm.
like your first act, your setup, and then your downfall, and then your um turning point, and then the resolution. I like to kind of split up the writing like that for each song, or not every song, but when someone's giving me their experience or their story, I can kind of start to like file it, and it's really cool just to see like where the song goes and where you thought it would go. Usually there's a big fork in the road.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there a lyricist that you look up to?
Ooh. Yeah, the band It Dies Today. That was like my first big like, I don't know, moment of inspiration when it came to metalcore. The vocals, the way that Nicholas Brooks screams, it was like one of the most influential screams I had like getting into this, and I still use a lot of his like influence in our material. And the lyrics. I don't know if it's him that writes the lyrics. It might be their guitar player Mike. I'm not too sure. I'd have to dig into that. But the way that they write is so poetic and interesting that it really like it had a big influence on me.
Okay, that's awesome. Um, you were talking about like we were talking about lyrics and how everybody does things different. John from Crystal Lake had a really unique take in how he approaches writing lyrics, and it's kind of stuck with me. He said he looks at it like a comedian, like essentially how a comedian tells a story, and you like have the art, kind of like you said, almost with like the movie, like the
Like the
journey
hook.
you're taking them on. He's like, I study comedians, and then that's how I write my lyrics and my songs. And I was like, okay, like that's
Yeah.
pretty much, I guess, like taking a long story and making it condensed to give you like the
Mhm.
full effect of it. And I was like, that's really cool. That's
Yeah, I agree with that. Like like as a comedian, you want to have a hook,
yeah,
right? Or that full circle moment where the audience is like, "Oh yeah, haha." A lot of times when I'm writing, it's all like hook based, where I'm like, I need to have that callback, or if there's like a certain cadence in rhyme scheme, I want to make sure I return to that. And there's all kinds of different like motifs and things you can use. Yeah, it can get really dense and poetic and stuff. It's exciting.
are you kind of like a notepad person where you just like, oh, this line's cool, and you'll like write that down or type it out, like, and then you'll come back to it later and just like have a collection of them, or how do you generally like come up with your lyrics and like start the idea, if you will?
Yeah, I don't use like a physical notepad, but on my phone I'll definitely
Yeah.
like throw it. I have like a little pad where I'll put all like, it's usually like the most inconvenient time, and I feel like that's when my brain is like, "Ooh, here's some great ammo." I'll be at a stoplight, I'll be in the shower. It's
Yeah.
like, ugh.
And then you're
In
repeating
the
it to
middle,
yourself until you can do it, and you're just like, can't forget
yeah,
this.
yeah, or like in the middle of a church service or at the movies, wherever. Um, but yeah, I'll jot them down. But for me, I'm kind of a visual learner, so like I have to have everything in front of me. So I have a Google Doc. It's funny, we were talking about Google earlier. I have a Google Doc with, um, I have like a lyric locker, which is just like a note, and it's just filled with anything and everything I come up with. And then I have different songs that I work on, and I'll put in, even if it's just like a start of an idea, I'll have like topic, outline, meaning, and then like words of interest. So like I'll have like a collection of words that I want to use in that song that are relevant, and then um a backdrop. So this is kind of cliche, but like an avalanche, it's like, well, okay, snow, cold, being buried, climbing a mountain, whatever. Like I'll have outline themes, and
Yeah.
then I usually like to kind of put it all under that bow. So I'll have like tons of different um I guess projects and then I have like my favorite websites that I use to kind of help guide me with like a thesaurus, dictionary, rhyme zone,
Yeah.
whatever related words.
All right. Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
In-depth look. All right. Hard question time. This one is rough for everybody, and it always stumps everybody. It takes a second, but do you have a favorite lyric? It can be one of your own. It can be someone else's. You can have one from each. Whatever you feel like sharing.
Yeah, no, I can give you one. It's not the most like crazy poetic one, but I think the substance behind it is like really sat with me for a while. We were talking about The Price of Grace earlier. So this is a song about a fan of ours that taken their lives, and the surviving best friend helped me write the song. Um, they There's a line that we wrote. It was, "How could you leave your family behind? You embrace your demons, and turn to suicide. You deserve to survive." Um, the tagline is "You deserve to survive." And originally, when we were writing it, it was like I was gonna write "You deserved to survive," and then we kept it present tense because he's speaking to the friend as if he was alive, like kind of getting things off his chest. But it's also become like a mantra for people that struggle with their mental health in present day. And being able to scream that on stage, like a lot of times I'll just pull the mic away, and usually there's like this dog pile of people that just scream it at the top of their lungs, and it's just kind of this like war cry. And it makes me feel like so empowered, everyone empowered. That's what it was designed to do. And yeah, it's really meaningful. Like it takes a lot of like the silly stuff we go through, or um hang-ups or whatever we have, a sore throat, whatever. um Seeing it like screamed back at you and seeing what it means to people. Some people will cry, or have like really personal experiences, and they want to share and talk about it and what that meant to them. Like it's amazing, man.
That's powerful stuff. I love that you got the best friend to like help you write that. That's really really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
definitely. It makes it deeper and just more meaningful and like yeah, I think that's really awesome.
yeah, and that kind of calls back to my method, I guess, where having bringing in people to help write the songs, because I have my own way of writing song. I could write a song like in an hour, but having like that third party, like really challenges me, and also like allows me to open up a lot more, and I get a lot more from that.
Yeah,
And so it's funny. I
that's
actually had a phone call last night talking about this exact same thing with somebody that I'm gonna write with.
that's really cool. I really really like that. All right, so tips for new songwriters as far as like lyrics, flow, patterns, all that stuff.
Mm.
Um, I know writer's block is a big thing as far as like lyrics and all, or everybody can be their own worst critic when it comes to the lyrics. Oh, this is cheesy or this is whatever, and
Mhm.
full disclaimer: everyone writes something cheesy at some point and something that's not good. I always tell
Yeah,
people just keep writing. Like, not everything's gonna be pure gold, pretty much.
yeah. I think for me the hardest part, and I feel like this should be the hardest part for anybody, is knowing what you're writing about. I feel like anybody can spit bars or think of something that would be cool, but if the substance behind it isn't strong, you're in bad shape. So for me, it's the hardest part is always going out and finding those stories or finding that message and working off of that. Like that's the hardest part. Um, so like last night, I was talking with a friend. He's our touring photographer, and we're going to be working on a song. And we had this like long in depth conversation about his views on spirituality and his mother passing away and how that all connects. Um, I thought that was really interesting and open of him to share. So we talked about writing about it, and I don't quite have like an outline for this song, but that's kind of the start.
Yeah,
I personally felt like there was something really strong there, and a message that we can uncover together. And that's the hardest part because I can't quantify when that next song idea is going to come. It was just kind of a random day on tour. We had a few hours to spare, so we're sitting in a hot parking lot outside of a Walmart, and God knows where, Canada, and we just started having this deep talk. And I was, you can't really project when that's going to happen or try and force it sometimes. So that's definitely the hardest part. After that, it's just a lot of like simple rules that you're going to have to adapt to. Being a tastemaker, knowing cliches or what band has said what already, or what's corny to you. But sometimes like those things don't matter. I was working with our producer, and he had been writing a song for some other band, and when I read the lyrics to myself, I was like, man, these are corny. Like, oh boy. But it worked so well because the singer really sold it, and the whole like concept behind the song really worked. So it's like you kind of have to be open to being a little cringy sometimes, or like going against your own nature. But um, that's something that you're gonna have to open yourself up to, is just being flexible with like, just because I don't think this is quite cool yet doesn't mean it can't be cool in the end.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people get stumped, because they're like, oh, that's corny, that's cliche, that's this, that's that. And you're kind of being really negative and not really nurturing the process.
What about as far as like when you're writing your vocal patterns or your flows and stuff like that? Is there any advice you have for them on that?
Um, yeah, there's a few different ways to go about it. Like you can go a cappella. That I guess that's a skill, but you could definitely like hone it if you're young, new to it. But yeah, a lot of times I'll be listening to a riff and I'm just kind of spitting an a cappella, you know, gibberish, da 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 ba 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 da, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, those are my syllables, da 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 da. And then I'm like, okay, I'm working with a bar that has 10 syllables. Okay, what can fit in that? That's typically how I'm writing, like when I'm in the studio, like trying to get everything to fit. And so if I have material pre-written, I can kind of condense it to that. Um, but for me, I don't know, like, okay, this is kind of something, it's a little abstract, but when I'm writing, I have a way that I like to write my cadences, which is typically like 4/4. Like I like to kind of sit in the offbeats though, to kind of, so I'm not relying on the drums or the guitars for every hit. So for example, if the music is like dun 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 dun, I'm not gonna go ba 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 ba. I don't want to follow it to a T, because then that can sound really amateur. But now after like 20 years of doing that, I'm starting to do that because I know that I don't think that's cool, and I want to challenge that. So I make it sound cool, like in an ironic way, and it really pays off. Like we have a song called Stigmata, and there's a big part in the breakdown where I'm following the hits. I'm going, Krista, find me upside down. And I would never do that. Like to me, that's not cool. But I'm like, I'm gonna make it cool. And like to me, like I'm so happy I did that because it sounds so sick, even though I like had to challenge myself to get there.
Challenging yourself, that alone, that's a big thing too. To always challenge yourself and keep learning, keep improving. Don't get complacent.
That's what I should have
No,
said.
your explanation was perfect. All right, so we've talked about the studio and all, and this question is fun because we all know that when you have a set and everything, there are parts that you love to do live. You've already talked about a couple parts you really like doing live, and it's a lot of fun. But on the opposite side, there's not parts you hate, because hate is too strong of a word for it. You wrote it, you love it, it's your art. But when you're in the studio, you don't always think about, I have to do this live, and hey, I need sips of air here and there to be able to survive this portion. So on the opposite side, are there also parts that you maybe dread in the set and you're like, okay, this is a little rough?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not afraid to say that. I'm lucky though, because I have a super talented guitar player that sings for us, but he's also a great screamer. So I might not have the same problems that you or anyone else may have. But you're right. Like when we're in the studio, make it the best song it can be. So for me, I make it really hard on myself, and in hindsight, I'm always like, why did I do that? But if the song wouldn't be as cool as it is, then what's the point? So yeah, make the song as good as you can. You'll find a way. But yeah, there's definitely parts in the set I dread. There's a new song that we're playing called Metanoia. I made that song excessively hard for myself. It might not sound hard, but the way that you have to like throw your false chords to get certain sounds is like for me really challenging, and it can be dangerous. And I noticed on the tail end of our tour, I was getting major vocal fatigue about halfway through the set where we would play that song. The songs afterwards, I could tell were not, I don't know, 110%. They're, maybe like 105%. But it was
Yeah.
just like, for me, that was like, like that song is so hard. Um, so I've handed off a few parts to my guitar player, Quentin, and he's been doing a phenomenal job with that. And yeah, just trying to have a bit more of a strategy on how much energy I'm pushing out and shoot, how much energy I'm putting out, the volume I'm screaming, and where I'm getting my breath, and like avoiding certain areas of strain while still giving an album quality performance. It's hard, man.
Yeah. It's a rough juggling act for sure.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I want to go back to lyricist and all for a second. Well, sort of lyricist, but frontman, vocalist. Which one is harder to you, being a vocalist or being a
Ooh,
frontman?
frontman for sure. Um, I really pride myself on being like an active frontman. Like I get a lot of praise on that, and that's like awesome to hear. But when it comes to like speaking, I've been getting like choked up lately, and I'm like, why am I like all of a sudden having trouble with this where I just don't know what to say? Because there's like canned things that you can say for sure,
Yeah.
and I try to like you should have moments like that. How are you guys feeling tonight? You should always ask that, right? But
Yeah.
like in my head, I'm like, okay, but I said it this way last night. I should say it different. And then I'm like stuttering on stage, and I'm like, like no. um, that's not really muscle memory. Like screaming like live every night, like you kind of develop like a muscle memory and a routine. So you're pretty much like locked in for the most part. But yeah, when it comes to like talking and public speaking, usually I'm very good at that. And I noticed like on the last tour, I was like, why am I like insecure here? So I think it's a lot harder. And I can definitely tell like someone that's like naturally really good at it and someone that's like struggling at it. And the crowd will tell you like, just by their reception, like
Yeah. Just
who's
some
got
people just
what.
have that natural like charisma, if you will, and they're just like comfortable and yeah, it all flows
Yeah.
really well.
And I feel good about that. Like I feel like I can handle that. But then there's like sometimes where I'm just like, I have an off day or I'm feeling a little insecure or maybe I'm in a certain mood and I have to like kind of sideline that for the performance. And that can be really challenging for sure.
I always have to ask that question because I mean you can see vocalists that they can do everything. Like vocally is just they're machines. But then
Hmm.
when it comes to like you said, talking to the crowd and like keeping the crowd engaged and that interaction, the energy, it's like it dips. Like you're watching, you're like, wow, they're amazing, and then it kind of just dips off. And
Hmm.
then the other side, there's vocalists that maybe can't do everything, and they have a limited skill set, but man, they're enjoyable to watch. Like the whole
Yeah.
show is awesome.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. And I think there's like a funny, like maybe unspoken stigma or like faux pas in metal or metalcore where it's like people don't want to acknowledge that it is a show. Like we're putting on a performance. This
Yep.
is like a theatrical experience. People are paying money. They want their ticket to go far. So like you have to perform.
Yeah.
There's like a whole like I don't want to say Broadway, but there's a whole theatrical experience that you're supposed to provide. And a lot of people are like don't want to address that or look at that. They're like, they're more honed in on I don't know, some grassroots like uh scene culture thing where it's like that's not cool, that's not raw or authentic, but like people like want to see a show and you have to like lean into being like a performer too as well as a musician. Like they're two separate things,
Yep.
and I think as long as you're authentic, charismatic, you put on an entertaining show, then you're doing something right.
So I want to know off the top of your head, top three frontman for you.
Ooh. Hmm. I should have read the questions before this.
Now that's actually not on there. That one's just kind of a
Oh,
that's a
curveball. Okay.
curveball for you.
Man, some people are really good at this. Caleb Shomo is really good. Um, Dude's playing like arenas and stuff now. But when Beartooth first like got going, they played a local venue here, 200 cap room, small, and he was phenomenal. Like I could tell a lot of people were like not really feeling them or they didn't know about them, and he did such a good job at like controlling the crowd and making everyone feel included. Super good front man. And now playing arenas, it makes sense. Like he's phenomenal. Obviously Corey Taylor, he's kind of like the king of that. Um, I don't know. I've been picking out little things from other guys. Like we saw Bad Omens recently, and I loved his performance vocally, his swagger on stage. Everything was really entertaining. But he made it a point between like one of the songs. He was like, "Hey, I don't really talk much, so this is who we are. This is the next song." And I was like, that was really interesting of him to like point out that he doesn't feel comfortable speaking or he doesn't want to talk much, and they were still able to have like one of the best performances I think I've ever seen. So that flipped everything for me. I'm like, man, I don't really have to talk that much to get,
Yeah.
get a great set. So I was really interested in that. I don't know. I really like over the top. I like push going over the top. I've been watching a lot of like Slaughter to Prevail, and I think he's incredible. I love watching him. Alex Terrible, he's incredible. Um, I like that kind of inflated macho, like over the top.
Hitting yourself in the head with a mic, all that stuff, just screaming
Yeah,
at the crowd, no mic.
that's kind of been my shtick lately. I like just almost like ironically being overly macho. Like it's just kind of like pro wrestling.
Oh yeah.
So like when you talk about like who's like your favorite charismatic frontman, it's like pro wrestlers. Their walkouts, the way that they're
Yeah.
working those large crowds from like a 360-degree angle, like that's what I'm watching. That's sick.
Yeah.
And I don't really like wrestling. I just like watching it. I'm like that's what I want to look like.
Okay. Very nice. I got the pleasure. I got to see Corey, man, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't know. I finally got to watch Slipknot live, and 50-something-year-old men, and they played like right at a 2 hour set, and I was just like, he commanded the crowd from the opening note, and I was just like, that's awesome. Like that's a front man. Like he could have said do anything, and the whole room would have done whatever. Like
Yeah.
what is it? And the Slipknot fans out there probably gonna make fun of me. There's a thing where he has like everybody get on the floor. Have you seen that? Where like it was an entire arena was on the floor, like everybody got down, and then he made everybody jump. It was
I'm pretty sure it's
so
for
sick
Spit It
live.
Out. Yeah, they've been doing that for decades. That's on the Disaster Pieces DVD if you want to like really do some digging. I think they do that during Spit It Out. We've done it before and it's fun, but there's a lot of people on TikTok that are complaining. They're like, "No more, it's done. This hurts my knees."
Yeah, it's. I mean, I was just like, wow, like just the fact that everybody did it, because I mean, sometimes bands can do stuff and like you'll have half the room do it, but I mean, just watching like an entire room do it, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. That's command.
Yeah, you got to full send it. You
Yeah.
cannot second guess yourself when you're doing stuff like that, and that's
But
what I try to do.
okay, kind of a fun question, kind of a goofy question, and this question is inspired by Adam D. From Killswitch and Kyle Medina from Body Snatcher. Do you have a favorite call out? Because some go with kind of, you were talking about the macho, some kind of go more the macho, and then some go with the off the wall, just out of nowhere stuff that you're just like, what did he just say to me? And then people go crazy.
Yeah, I wish this would land better though. I want to get. I need to like find a way to spin this. So we were talking about the like inflated macho kind of vibe. It's like kind of ironic. I I was doing this Ronnie Coleman call out. Okay, let me backpedal. Before we play this song, it's like a super beat down heavy song. I go like, "Where's my gym rats at? Like, I need you for this song." And so like I'm like flex. I'm like, "Where's my gym rats?" And like I feel like bodybuilding culture is like really taken to metal lately, and it's like I mean, there's like Spotify playlists and stuff for that. Like,
Oh yeah,
gym culture loves metal. And I love gym culture. So I've been implementing that into our set. And when it's like really moving, the pit's going crazy. I see it's like going off. I'll yell lightweight baby. I'm like lightweight baby, and it's a Ronnie Coleman quote that he would always yell like before doing like some big bench press or something. Nobody gets it. I'm just yelling it, and there's some people that catch it, but I'm like, this is just for me, I guess. So it's kind of my favorite, but I also like it kind of bothers me if people don't get it. So I'm like, I don't know.
Maybe it'll catch on. Maybe as you
Yeah.
keep doing it, it's gonna keep catching fire. That's awesome though. I love those. I love just like the off the wall things because
Yeah, like
it
just
catches
being
people.
weird.
They're into the music and then they're just like, wait, what? What was that?
Yeah, I kind of have to like force myself to like break out a character like that. Like I know it's silly, but like I'll do that. Like I've been doing like push-ups on stage, like just weird stuff, like even like changing up the cadence or screaming different just to like break out a character enough to where like people are like, all right, like I'm not just watching a movie or a show, I'm a part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's real.
yeah. Okay, so this next one is a sports inspired question.
Okay.
Do you have any pre-show or studio rituals or superstitions, if you will? Like you have to wear a certain pair of socks or shoes for the show, or in the studio.
Yeah.
I use this one all the time. It's a great reference. One of my guests on here for studio, they prefer to usually have a light blue Gatorade. Um,
Yeah, I'm digging in my sock drawer because oh, here they are. These These socks have played some of the most important shows in our like career here. These South Park socks. I wore these at Aftershock. I think I wore these at Incarceration. Um, yeah, I have those. I have electric pair of underwear. I have. We always do a prayer before we go on. Like we have to do that. Um, certain stretches. I have like these knee braces. For me, it is like a sport because it's like so physical. I have like a set wardrobe. I put knee braces on. Like I tie my belt a certain way. Everything like has to feel right.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm very superstitious when it comes to that, and I know I shouldn't be, but it makes me feel good.
yeah. What was it? Somebody was just saying like they've implemented something. It was like a group saying or something they do. I forget what it was, but they're
Mhm.
like, I'm sure if we didn't do it, the set would still go fine. But for my mental headspace, like we have to do it so I know the set's gonna go fine, like kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, we're so weird. We have like this thing like where well we did where for like years we would never go before we go on stage. We would never go. Tonight's going to be a good show because we had like a terrible show. One of those nights where we're like it's going to be a good show. So now like well we don't do this anymore. But for years we're like never say good show. It's going to be an average show or it's going to be fine. Like don't say that. Um, and now like we don't it doesn't really matter. We've lifted the curse. But when we perform, we always pray before we go on. And one thing I always ask a prayer of is like protection against technical difficulties, and then we ask that the spirit falls. And that I feel like that always lands.
Okay, nice, nice, nice. All right, so we're gonna kind of go through some fun, kind of not really vocal centric questions, but just fun stuff. Like, do you have a favorite show you've played? Is there one off the top of your head you're like,
Yeah,
okay,
glad you asked. That I just had it. My last show. It was my favorite show I ever
oh,
played.
nice.
Yeah. We I
Incarceration,
mean
right?
I have a highlight reel for sure, but internally, but the last show we played, Incarceration Fest, everything worked. My whole family was it. My mom, my dad,
Oh, that's awesome.
siblings, girlfriend, like everybody showed up. So it was like, which is very rare. My mom has only been to like 5 of my shows, ever, and she was there. My agent came. We had like a whole team of people there for us, our family, friends, and it was in our home state. And it was pretty scary. It was our first time ever playing this festival. It had been raining all weekend. Um, we didn't know we weren't too sure what was going to happen with the weather. It started raining before we went on. And then, like, right as we were taking to the stage, it stopped raining and it just filled out. I think we played in front of more people than we've ever played in front of that day. And then it like rained like right after our set. Luckily, it didn't affect anybody's performances, but It was just kind of like the clouds literally parted for us. It was
That's
like
awesome.
the perfect show. Um, yeah, that was definitely up there. That was probably my favorite show I ever played.
Okay. You said you have a reel. I'm curious what some of the other ones are.
Ooh, okay.
Putting you on the spot
So
now.
yeah, so this is outside of Convictions, but my like yeah, one of my favorite shows I ever played was with August Burns Red. It was the third day of our tour. It was like right outside the Alamo, so we're like down there in Texas, and I was filling in for August Burns Red, and I was having trouble with my voice, so I was like really nervous before this one. And that was the show that I debuted Fry Screaming, and it was like one of the strongest Fry Screaming performances I've ever done. Like, there's some clips where I'm like, "Holy cow!" I'm like riding the lightning here. Um, yeah, it was just this sickest show, amazing crowd. And then afterwards, like walking off the stage and going into the green room, the band was already there. It was quiet, and I'm like, I even said on stage, I'm like, "This is my favorite show I ever played." I'm like crowd surfing. Um, I like walk back there, and I'm like, they're all looking at me. I'm looking at them, and then I just like break character, and I'm like, "Ah!" And they're like, "Yeah!" And everybody's like hugging, and it was like one of those moments. Like, I'll never forget that. Also, another show, we did Moscow in Russia. That was like one of my favorite shows we ever played. I don't know if we're ever going to get to go back to Russia, but we went into that show not knowing what to expect because we'd never been there. And the promoter was like, "Hey," like when we got there, we were exhausted. We had just done like a big flight and train. Um, we were sleeping at the venue, and they're like, "Hey, you need to wake up, like we're going to do a VIP." And we're like, "We're not going to do VIP, like people don't, like they're not going to come, like what are you talking about?" They're like, "No, like you guys should." We're like, "No, we're just going to sleep." Which is kind of crazy, like kind of hardcore. So we like get ready for the show, and it completely sells out. There's like 400 people or something like that, and they like knew all our material somehow, and they were like screaming our name in broken English and singing along. And it was just kind of like one of those moments where like, what is going on? Like, we are not, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like this doesn't feel real. Um, yeah, it was like my favorite show. It was so sick.
that's awesome. So August Burns Red, how was doing that stint? Whenever you had to fill in.
Scary,
Oh, I'm
super
sure
scary,
they're legendary. I mean,
really
they've.
scary.
We were talking about Corey. August Burns Red has influenced countless musicians. I mean, they've been at it for 20 plus years now as well,
Yeah.
and they're still awesome. I mean, they're. I've loved August Burns Red since the first time I heard them.
Yeah. Yeah, same. Like Jake was a huge influence on me. Like starting out, like I loved how he performed the Composure music video, and I was like,
Oh,
I
iconic
want
one.
to, yeah,
Yeah,
iconic.
I love it.
I was like, that's how I want to perform, like just full send it. Yeah, absolutely surreal. I've gone on record and talked about this quite a bit, but yeah, it's never gonna escape me, like just how amazing that was, and surreal it was to be on stage with your idols,
Yeah,
basically, and now friends. And yeah, it was the biggest responsibility, but it was also kind of like I've been preparing for 20 years for this, and always believed that I was capable of it. And then to finally like go off and play from, like in the minor leagues all the way into the Yankees, like getting that call, that's how my dad describes it. It was just like that. It
yeah,
was like, I know I can do this. I was born for this. Like, let's go. I was ready. My body was completely numb. Like I couldn't feel my legs. Like that was a trip. Um, but yeah, it was everything I could have hoped for. It was really amazing. Everyone was so lovely, and being able to perform on that scale on that stage, and to hit the mark. I think about it like almost every day.
how long was the stint with them? Like, how long was that tour?
We finished off the second leg of the Leveler tour. So I want to say it was about 8 shows,
Okay,
a little
nice.
over about 2 weeks.
That's awesome. They put on a killer show.
Yeah,
They go hard. Like their stage presence, everything. Like yeah,
yeah,
that's one thing I've always
very.
been impressed with them. I don't think they've ever really slacked up on that. They put on a
No,
show.
extremely professional, and really like kind of set the tone for like my music career going forward, because like I've seen how these guys do it, and I'm like, this is how I would do it. This works. This feels right. Do it like them.
Absolutely. All right. So, favorite bands to tour with? Do you have like a quick list of bands you really enjoy being on the road with?
Ooh,
Without
that's a
throwing
good
anybody
question.
under the bus and like
Yeah, just throw everybody under the bus. We toured with Earthgroans for a long time. They're they're some of the coolest people. I know Jeremy's really busy doing sound. He's doing front of house for a lot of bands like Silent Planet right now. But those guys were great. Good friends of ours. The Browning, this recent tour, love those guys. We're talking about hopefully doing some more stuff with them. Akeem and I really hit it off because I like to run our merch and he runs theirs, and we just like buddied up every day. So yeah, their whole camp was lovely. Their sound guy Lucas, we hired him. He was great. Brandon, their drummer, him and I had some great spiritual talks. Johnny, super quiet guy, but really good fingerboarder. He gave me one of their tech decks that he makes, and him and I hit it off. So I really like the Browning right now.
okay, nice, very nice.
Right now.
Right. I'm sure it changes yearly just because you guys tour all the time. So I mean,
Yeah, yeah, we're going out with War of Ages again here soon too.
oh, sick.
We've done quite a few runs with them. Love those guys. They're so nice. So that'll be nice to be around those guys.
All right. Do you have a fun tour story that you can share with the? They can see the light of day, if you will, and doesn't need to probably stay on the road.
um, I don't know, like fun off day or
What,
fun on
whichever,
stage.
whichever,
Or
whatever.
okay, because there's a lot of not fun things that happen. um, recently, we oh man, I want to give you a good one. Um, shoot, I mean, just being in Japan, I feel like that's like probably the most fun I've had on tour, just because. I mean, aside from performing, like just exploring Japan, that's like I would just go vacation there. Like that place is so fun and there's so much to do. Especially for you, you like horror, I can tell in the
Yeah,
background. Like
just a
any
little
like
bit.
pop yeah, any pop culture thing is gonna be you're gonna have all your needs met. Um
I feel like Japan
yeah,
is pretty much any musician that's got the chance to go over there. That's in their top five, top three places usually to
yeah,
play, to visit. Like in general, like I never hear anything bad about Japan.
yeah. And you can go in with the highest expectations, like especially if you grew up with like anime or familiar with the culture there, you can have the highest expectations and they're going to be far exceeded. Um, I I went in with the bar super high, and then when we landed, it was like it was like Pokemon Airport. It was like what? And then like we're going through the super dense city, and there's like people dressed as Mario like characters racing on go-karts like next to our
What?
van like on the highway. I'm like what? Like every it was like a totally different planet, and you can't read anything, or I can't. And like it was just the denseness of it. Like you'd go into like a small coffee shop and there'd be like a little door in the back. You go through that, somehow you're on an escalator going down into like an underground mall, and there's like a train going through it, and you're just like there's just worlds inside worlds inside worlds. Like the density is just overbearing in the best way. Um and then like the natures, you got that covered too. We saw Mount Fuji, and we sailed to this island that like was the inspiration for Godzilla. And there's like all these wild deer that will come up and try and get pet by you, and they have these ornate sculptures, these food dogs that like guard this temple. That's actually why I got this whole sleeve here. Um, yeah, Japan's peak.
And then the food too, I'm sure is
Oh yeah, don't even get me
insane.
started. Like ramen and sushi and you name it. It was great.
Oh yeah. And then the crowds. I know we're just like all about Japan right now, but the
Yeah,
crowds are something I keep hearing too. It's everyone says it's so different, like just the respect and the way the crowds are, but they go crazy, like they love it.
absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it. And I was warned about this too, because people are saying like, don't be bothered, like, don't be offended if the crowd is like quiet between your songs. And I didn't really quite understand that until we performed, because when you're performing, there's crowd surfers, circle pits, all the staples. It's great, And then after the song finishes, we're so used to, woo, and it was just dead silent, like just crickets. And you're like, oh, they must hate us. And they're like, no, like that's their way of showing respect, especially if, you want to say something, they'll hear it. And I'm like, that is lovely. Like, that is so
That's really
cool.
cool.
Yeah. Um, we got to play with some really cool bands there too. So I'll shout out Pale Dusk and Sailing Before the Wind. I'm going to be doing a project with Sailing Before the Wind here
Oh,
soon
sick.
too. So
Nice.
look out for that.
What's some other countries that you really enjoy playing or you would put up there?
I mean, Europe. Europe is beautiful. It's really different too the way that they treat you. Um, in the States, a lot of these venues, it's American, so it's pretty. It can be rough around the edges. Like people will be nice to you, but it's kind of like fend for yourself. Like there's a green room in the back, got a couple sandwiches back there. Like have at it. It's cool, good vibes. Um, in Europe, they'll like roll out the red carpet for you. There's like crazy meat and cheese spreads, and everyone is super nice. And a lot of the venues will have like built-in bunk rooms or like Airbnbs attached.
Yeah.
So it's totally different culture. A lot of the countries too will fund like the arts. So there'll be like a lot of money put into these venues. They'll be beautiful and they'll they'll pay you well, and it's all like funded by the state because they want to cultivate that arts culture, I've noticed. So you get treated like top tier, like roll out the red carpet kind of thing. Like it's great. So Europe as a whole, like I love touring out there.
Okay. Is there anywhere you haven't been that you want to go?
Oh yeah, Brazil. Every song that we put out, every post we make, there's always somebody, and I think they're trolling. They're like, "Come to Brazil, come to Brazil," and you're like, "Man, what is this? Like, is this real?" But I've had some friends that have played there, and they're like, "Yo, it's insane! Like, believe the hype! Like, it's crazy." I'd love to go to Brazil. Um, that would be really cool. Australia, we've like tickled the idea of going to Australia a couple times. We haven't been there yet, and I think that would probably be like one of the cooler places that I've seen a lot of bands go to. New Zealand would be amazing. I don't know if people play out there, but I'd love that.
That's awesome. There's definitely a pretty good metalcore scene too in Australia.
Oh, they have the best bands,
Yeah.
like just the best.
They're loaded with bands over there.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, so with the traveling, is there anything you need to do vocally to like kind of help your voice with traveling? Because I mean, you're going from one continent to another, and like different climates, different conditions and everything. Does that ever mess with you any with like those long travel days like that, if like like a flight or anything?
Not that I've really paid attention to, I guess. Pretty pretty boring guy here. Like it's just cough drops, tea, don't yell, take it easy. And I just really like I was kind of saying earlier on the psychological part, just try to remain calm because stress is going to be the worst thing that you could do for yourself.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I have taken up quite a bit of your time. So, kind of what I like to do to end everything is first, I want to kind of just let you plug any and everything you want to plug. Anything you have coming out, you can say, or vocal lessons, whatever you want to plug. The floor is yours. So, we'll be sure to
Sure.
link everything down in the description too for you.
Sure. Well, yeah, thanks for having me, man. Yeah, it was a pleasure. I really enjoyed talking about vocals. Don't get to do this too much. If you're listening to this and you're interested in working with me, you can find me on Instagram at Mike Convictions. Feel free to DM me. As far as Convictions, you can find us on tour this fall. We'll be going out with Demon Hunter. You can find tickets at convictionsrock.com. And if you're in the Ohio area, you can catch us at a free festival. It's called Immersion Fest. You can catch us there. I wish I had the information in front of me, but you can find everything at convictionsrock.com.
Nice. All right. And I'll have it all linked. And then kind of to close it out, what I like to do is let you kind of just give some words of wisdom. Maybe someone listening to this is a brand new vocalist that's wanting to pick up the mic for the first time, or maybe, they've been at it for a little bit and they need a little inspiration, or even a veteran, that's been at it for years, and maybe this will help them like get over that hump and level up a little more. So if you will just kind of share any and all wisdom for vocalists out there.
Sure. Yeah, it's a journey, man. Like a lot of people want to have everything figured out right away. But I'm still learning stuff, and I've been doing it, like I said, for 20 plus years now. Um, Always look to expand on your craft. Don't let your ego get in the way. And don't be an ego screamer. What I mean by that is, like, don't go red in the face and blow out your voice like you got something to prove. Um, yeah, there's always something to learn. Be humble. Stay persistent. You're gonna have bad days, and that's okay. And for me, it's all about expanding the tool belt, learning new skills, and learning when and how to use them.
Okay. Love it. Absolutely love it. I do have one more question.
Yeah.
So as someone that has been doing this over 20 years, what is the big differences and how is it now doing a band compared to 20 years ago? Because 20 years ago we had, social media was nothing like it is now. It was more, maybe MySpace, stuff like that. You had like your few sites that your music would go on, you promote, you would network and stuff like that. But I mean, it was the handing out flyers, the CDs handing out, like all that stuff back in the day compared to now where social media is rampant. I mean, you essentially have to have a presence on most platforms, to expand your audience. So like how is that now and how has that evolution been?
Yeah, I mean, to kind of pick up on what you're saying with like the old school approach, like don't lose that. Like you still want to have boots on the ground. Like, dude, we of course we do all the, advertising and social media rollout plans and all that. But we'll go to gas stations, and there's a dude that has like a Slipknot tattoo on his arm, and we go, oh, hey, 20 regular on 5, but also, are you a metalhead? Do you should check out our band Convictions. Like, we'll do that, and like we don't have to do that, like, but we're gonna do that everywhere we go. Like, so like for me, like, don't lose that. Like, if you think you're too good to like promote yourself, or you're worried about being cringe or whatever, like you have to get past that. Like you can't get in your own way like that or have that ego. Like, I feel like that's kind of implied now with social media, like, oh, you don't want to be cringe, or you don't want to this, that, or the other. Like, if you're going to be like that, you're not going to get far. Like, you have to really put yourself out there and not be afraid of like naysayers and stuff.
I love it. Great advice. It has been a pleasure chatting with you. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting all things vocals.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching or listening to this episode of Behind the Vocals featuring Michael Felker of Convictions. Please be sure to check out all of Michael's links down below, as well as his Instagram if you're interested in getting vocal lessons from Michael. Also be sure to check out everything Convictions down below, as well as their tour dates to see when they're coming to a city near you. Thank you all so much for watching or listening to this episode. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys and gals on the next one.